Young and without much direction in my life, my parents pushed me to join the Army. They couldn't afford higher education for me and my younger sister, and this was the only thing they could think of to make sure that we were educated. My mother was a U.S. Army sergeant. She was stationed at San Diego State University as a part of the ROTC program before finally retiring. After dealing with a multitude of students, she'd come to learn of a field in the military that gave back, a degree that translated into the civilian world when most did not. So I found myself in this large room with a dozen others. My right hand was raised and I was silently sobbing to myself as I was being sworn in. The Star-Spangled Flag was just hanging in the front. After being stationed at Walter Reed Army Medical Center, right in the heart of DC, one thing was for sure. I'm going to do the rest of my 2 years, go back home to San Diego, back where the sun shines and the cold does not exist. From what I hear, I have a primo duty station at Walter Reed. My mom was stationed in Korea when I was a kid. Seemed like she was gone forever. I just want to know that I can always just come back home when most could not. I was a nurse, working on the medical surgical unit, Ward 68. It dealt with anything from the ears, nose, and throat to the gut. Every so often I would get lucky. I'd get a young soldier who'd come in and have to stay overnight for an appendectomy, which was actually refreshing. We could talk about movies that were filmed in color. We had music from that decade. Most of my patients, the average was usually around 60 and above. On September 11th, it all changed. I walked into an elderly man's room with his Metamucil in tow. His television was on, his mouth agape. The towers fell. We went to war. Not too much longer after that, our troops started to come home, but not in that fashion that the recruiters like to showcase, no. There was no GI mommy and daddy showing up in the junior's classroom, no hunky Marine showing up early and unannounced at a spouse's job, no. Tattered, scathed, broken, both mentally and physically, that's what we saw. The unit I worked on transformed. The average age of my patients dropped to the early 20s. Men and women my age. There were these nights where we'd do this assignment, this detail, and it consisted of 2 nurses from each unit in the hospital. And we'd make our way downstairs to the 3rd floor to this makeshift triage area. And then a bus would pull up full of soldiers. Some can get off under their own will, but the others had to be waiting there to be carried up through the litters and put onto gurneys. Their bandages last changed long ago. We would see if they were stable, and then we'd figure out where to put them based on injury type and level of care needed. Other nights, a medevac would arrive on the helipad atop the hospital. That usually spelled a serious situation. I met one of those helicopters once. The patient died in the process of actually getting to the States twice. They needed him to have a new military ID since he was patrolling without one at the time of injury. His dog tags just weren't enough. They took a picture of him in flight. When they snapped it, he was soulless. The very fact that he ended up living was beyond me. The hospital's old rooms, once used for storage, were converted back into rooms that could bear patients. Soldiers were greeted with smiles and stifled tears. Welcome to Walter Reed. After some time, it became a well-oiled machine. Telephone cards, cash aid on debit cards, family would arrive soon thereafter. The Red Cross was pretty amazing. There was joy and pain all at once. I have seen so many reunions. A father met his twin girls only after a few months old for the very first time there. A 19-year-old hugged his parents who were just happy to have their baby back. One young lady was able to reconnect to her surprise with her bomb dog. Considering her own injuries and her surprise to just be alive, she could only imagine that he had died. He jumped onto her bed and she wept for joy, lips trembling, tears streaming. And I was happy for myself too, to finally get to see the tears of relief. Some significant others were just as distant as their returning counterparts. I changed IVs while they fidgeted, reluctant to hold a stump where a hand once held a wedding band, slow to talk about the future. Be it a lost limb, a disfigured face, an affixed bag to a stomach that will forever collect stool, the couple shared that look. The adjustment is the worst. We did our duty, we fixed their bodies, but we neglected their minds. I was shocked by the amount of patients who actually wanted to go back to war. They weren't done yet. Their brothers were still over there, and they needed to go back. There were others that resented their time there. I had a patient of mine who exclaimed in his salty manner, "We trained those MFers, and now they're shooting us up with their own shit too." It was years of this. I was drained and exhausted from not knowing how to deal with their baggage coupled with my own emotions, but I sure as shit couldn't complain. I mean, how could I? So I stuck to the script. My favorite perk, I do have to admit, was at Walter Reed, was the huge celebrity turnout to support our troops. It was VIP Central for quite some time. The men and women in uniform got a kick out of it for the most part as well. I've hugged Stevie Nicks. I shook the hand of Mick Foley. I almost spilled pee on Justin Timberlake. John Voight had his own camera guy, and he took photos with each soldier, room by room. Tyra Banks and her long leg crew were pretty popular with the guys too. It was really good to see uplifted spirits, even if it was just temporary. It was almost standard for the soldiers admitted to the hospital to be on some sort of antidepressant or mood stabilizer. Bolster that with a sleeping aid, done in cookie cutter fashion. Everyone pretty much got the same thing. Granted, some changes were made if it didn't seem to help. There were brief meetings with the psych doctor. The ones that displayed serious symptoms or who actually reached out, they were seen more. But I don't remember many follow-ups though, not for the masses. Some soldiers came to Walter Reed and they never left. Their only escape would be the eventual day pass. They would soon return for their pain and sleeping pills when their short supply ran out. A few even got a 3-day pass. I naturally assumed if you can leave the hospital grounds and don't need to return for 3 days, well, you don't need to be in the hospital anymore. But then I wondered, they ever wanted to leave? Maybe there was nothing left for them without the military. They were used to the structure, they were used to the order, they were used to those walls. They were screaming for help, but all we gave them were pills. The intake rate slowed down eventually a few years into the war. Still, they just kept coming, and the cycle remained the same. I felt guilty sometimes that I was stateside. It's like I got off easy because I wasn't over there. I did have this one older soldier I had taken care of. He was a platoon sergeant. He was a squad leader. He had valor. He would give me tidbits of life advice, and I would change his wounds. He listened as I told him how I felt one night, and he told me that I was on the front lines. And it took me some time to realize what that statement implied. And it has since resonated with me, and I've become empowered. Thanks.
Kelli Hewlett.
It's always late evening dark in here, but I've got friends to the left and right of me, and there's music. Friends might be the wrong word. They're people I trust, like really trust. Like I know that they would walk through fire for me. I know because we've practiced it. Walking through fire for each other with actual fire. If a guy will put on 6 layers of clothing and go stand in a 500-degree room for you, you can trust him. I call these men brother, even though they're not my family. except that they are my family, just not the kind of family where I know their wives' names or how old their kids are. The music we listen to isn't what I'd set up a channel on Pandora for. It's really just information being passed on the radio with an occasional crypto screech, like something from a Philip Glass concerto, which I definitely don't want to set up a channel on Pandora for. Still, it's music. Satellite data jazz, man. Chief LeBlum called it the blue light lounge, and we all slump in front of our consoles, gazing into orange screens, getting wasted on radar scope dope, waiting. Recruiters won't tell you about the waiting. We wait for everything. I mostly waited for my relief. I trust my relief with my life, but I don't trust him to wake up on time. So I keep an eye on the clock. Every damn day. When there's a gap in the music, the conversation flows. OS2 Greenup likes orchestrating lists of things. Like all the slang terms we can think of for vagina. Our list of terms for penis took days to finish and ended up being 150 items long. Because my brothers are like